Hey guys, welcome back to our finals edition of Three Man Weave. Lovely art there by Connor O'Gara
Good
on
job,
the dry erase board. And with IU not having a game this week and Big Ten play a little over a week away, we thought we'd look at the Big Ten Conference, all 12 teams, kind of rank them. We'll average out our rankings and we'll go in order from there as IU still has 3 more non-conference games. So Connor, start at the bottom. Who's the 12th place team?
12th place team is going to be Penn State this year based on our rankings. Penn State is a team that lost a lot of seniors, most notably Taylor Battle, a team that made the NCAA tournament last year, maybe overachieved a little bit more than people thought they were going to. But this year they already have 5 losses. It's a team that just lost to Lafayette, a team that is going to struggle when they hit Big Ten play. Really not many scoring options besides Tim Frazier. This is a team that I think is going to get eaten up by some of the size in the Big Ten. And, but at the same time, Coach Chambers, a guy that I think is going to turn it around for them, a guy that has a lot of energy, is going to bring some new optimism, maybe at a time when Penn State really doesn't have it.
And number 11, the newbies to the conference, Nebraska Cornhuskers. Doc Sadler said at Big Ten Media Day injuries were killing this team. They're led by Bo Spencer. He's averaging 16.7 points a game. They're 6-3 on the year with really 0 quality wins. Their losses are to Oregon, Wake Forest, and Creighton. They do lead the league in free throw shooting, so I guess if they come down to some close games, the Cornhuskers will be in it. And how about this to start off the Big Ten schedule? The first 9 games, 8 against ranked teams, so it'll be a rude awakening to the conference. The Hoosiers will travel to Nebraska for their lone game on January 18th.
Iowa comes in at number 10, we have them at number 10. I'm sorry about that. Not a real big numbers guy. Iowa to me has been one of the bigger disappointments in the Big Ten during non-conference play this year. Right now they're sitting at 5-5 with losses to, wait for it, gentlemen, the Campbell Fighting Camels.
The soup, Campbell.
There you go. Well done. Also, they lost to Northern Iowa by 20. Good Northern Iowa team, but still can't lose to them by 20 if you're a Big Ten team. They have brought back great guys, Cartwright, Basabi, and Matt Gatens, but all of them have pretty much underperformed. Melson Basabi's down from 11 points per game to 8.5, and right now things are not looking good for the Hawkeyes.
I believe I'm next. Minnesota, number 9. Again, injuries have killed this team. Trevor Mbakwe, all Big Ten, preseason favorite, tore his ACL earlier in the year. They went down the Old Spice Classic. Their only loss on the year is to Dayton, but they really don't have any quality wins. They've beaten Indiana State, Virginia Tech, USC. No, real quality wins in those 3. They also had Colton Iverson transfer to Colorado State, so that lost some front court depth as well. DeVoe Joseph transferred last year to Oregon. Rodney Williams has been the guy that needs to step up for him. He's a hometown kid, a highly touted kid coming out of high school. He's now playing the 4 with Ralph Sampson still there at the 5. They do lead the league in blocks and rebounding, their second IU in field goal offense, and the Hoosiers travel to the Barn on January 12th, and then Minnesota comes to Bloomington on the 25th, looking to avenge 2 straight losses in Bloomington to the Hoosiers.
Next up, we got Northwestern coming in at number 9. We have Matt.
8.
Number 8. I can't count. Northwestern, of course, has John Sherna and Drew Crawford, two guys that could easily make first team All Big Ten at season's end. But this is a team where that's their only 2 scoring options. Both those guys are averaging 17 points a game. This is a team that lives and dies by the 3. They've played that Princeton offense for years now. Bill Carmody's guys have pretty much kind of gotten eaten up in Big Ten play. They don't have the low post presence. Even some of their big guys like Merkovich. Merkovich is a guy that's averaging 2.5 rebounds right now, so he's much more of an outside player. They really have only played one quality opponent so far, and that's Baylor. Got beat pretty easily by a very athletic Baylor team. I don't think this is the year that Northwestern is going to break their tourney drought, and you know what? This team just doesn't have the juice.
As 7th-ranked team, Purdue Boilermakers, I think this is where it got tough for all of us. It was pretty clear who the bottom 5 were, but Purdue, obviously, Robbie Hummels back for his 5th year. He's 3rd in the conference in scoring, 18.3 a game. Both their losses are to quality teams. They lost to Alabama down in Puerto Rico, kind of a back-and-forth game, and then a couple Saturdays ago they blew a 19-point lead at Xavier. They really don't have any big wins. They beat Iona down in Puerto Rico and Temple down there as well. They beat Miami in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. They played Butler on Saturday before the Notre Dame and IU game. Scoring is their biggest problem. Lewis Jackson, Ryan Smith, a couple other seniors have been their scoring options. IU will travel to West Lafayette on February 4th, and then Purdue and IU will close out the regular season here on March 4th, a Sunday evening tip for senior night.
Next up, we got Illinois. Illinois, a team with a solid starting five, even though they are very young, a team that lost a lot of their senior talent with McCamey and Tisdale and Davis, and lost a lot of those guys that were big contributors for them last year, and now they're relying on DJ Richardson, Brandon Paul, a couple of young guys that are very capable of taking over a game at any given time. Their starting five is very solid, but this is a team that's only about 7 or 8 deep right now. Maybe guys that are going to kind of wear down as this Big Ten season, as we get into it more, but they really haven't been tested outside of Assembly Hall. Very nice win against Gonzaga, one of the best mid-majors in the country. But I think they have too many soft big guys like Leonard Griffey, or like Leonard and Griffey, who, how are they going to body up against a Draymond Green and a Ralph Sampson and a Cody Zeller? I just don't see them as being a team that is able to make that next step and maybe might be on the outside looking in come tourney time.
Number 5, we have a team, I believe it's pronounced the Hoosiers. Okay, the Indiana Hoosiers. Coming in at number 5, a little bit higher than probably a lot of people had in the preseason. Arguably the biggest surprise of the Big Ten this year. Obviously the big upset at home on Saturday against Kentucky is now, Indiana's now a ranked team, pretty much on the bubble. A lot of people think this is a tournament team. Definitely going to make some noise in the Big Ten. One thing that IU does really, really well is scoring distribution. I believe every star except for Verdell Jones is averaging in double figures right now. And if Tom Crean's squad can continue to play like they are right now into Big Ten season, you can definitely see IU in very favorable standings in March. Because you couldn't just get enough of me. Number 4, we have Michigan State, the Michigan State Spartans. Crazy old Coach Tom Izzo just loves his non-conference schedule. He played Duke and North Carolina back-to-back for the first 2 years of the first 2 games of the season. Both losses, but since then has won 8 straight, including a key non-conference win at Gonzaga. What the Zags at the time were, I believe, ranked 22nd in the nation. And to be honest with you guys, you can call this the Michigan State Draymond Greens because he is the entire team. He's leading Michigan State in both scoring and rebounding. Against that big win against Gonzaga, he dropped 34 points with 11 of 13 from the field, currently averaging 16.3 points a game, 9.7 rebounds. He is Michigan State.
Staying in state, we'll go with our number 3 team, the Michigan Wolverines. John Beilein squad, 8-2. They lost in the finals of Maui, Duke, and then a little hangover after the Maui. They came back and lost in the ACC Big Ten Challenge at Virginia. They could have the best backcourt in the Big Ten. Trey Burke is probably the best freshman not named Cody Zeller in the Big Ten this year. He's averaging 12 points and 5 assists. Point guard was a question coming into the season. Burke's answered the bell. And Tim Hardaway just does it all for that team, 15 points a game. They still lack really a post player besides Jordan Morgan. I think that will be the only thing that could hinder them. But we saw it last year. They were a shot away from beating Duke and going to the Sweet 16. They lost Darius Morse to the Lakers, but that was about it, and they can still spread the floor with shooters, and Hardaway and Burke make that team tick. January 5th, with the students still on break, Michigan will come to Bloomington. Again, IU got a big win over Michigan last year here in Bloomington, and then February 1st, the Hoosiers travel to Ann Arbor.
Next up, we got number 2, Wisconsin coming in, the Bo Ryan bunch that, all they do is win every year. They just win conference games at home. They do not lose at the Kohl Center, and I think that's what's carried them in years past. They're a team that is built on their defense. They really force you to play a very specific style of basketball, force you to slow the game down, play a very good half-court set, yet at the same time they got a first-team All-American guy in Jordan Taylor. They have an emerging player in Ben Brust who has really taken on in the absence of John Lure. A team that really, really plays a very specific style of basketball. Never a sexy team, never a team that anybody has a bunch of NBA players, projected as. But this is a team that, I fully expect them to go undefeated at home this year in the Big Ten and expect them to be competing with Ohio State for the Big Ten championship.
They are who we thought they were. Number 1, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Right now, Ohio State's sitting at 8-1 this year. Number 2 in both rankings. Ohio State, they got their first loss over the weekend to Kansas. And why? What was the big factor? No Jared Sullinger. We've seen how much of a difference this guy makes when he's on the floor, and it was evident as OSU scored the least amount of points this year against the Jayhawks, and then had the Jayhawks scored the most points of any team against them. What IU should look for when they play them It's not a very deep team. They have 3 players averaging in double figures, and Kraft's at 9.9, so you can throw them in there. But other than that, just not a very deep team all around. IU plays them at home December 31st, and then goes to Columbus on January 15th.
So those are our Big Ten rankings. Again, this conference probably has 8 or 9 teams that think they have a chance to play into March. Probably the best conference in college basketball, people would say right now. So IU will play on Saturday. Connor and I will be there covering it. Notre Dame at Conseco Fieldhouse. The Hoosiers probably look for a little chip on their shoulder after Notre Dame beat them by 38 in Maui a few years ago. Tom Pritchard, Verdell Jones probably still recall that game, but 2 totally different teams. Notre Dame will start their 8th different starting lineup on the year, whereas the Hoosiers, we expect just to go with the same starting 5 they've gone with all year. So for Avi Zalen, Connor O'Gara, I'm Kevin Bowen. We'll see you guys Saturday, and good luck in your finals.